industry continuously keeps talking about engaging young people, how we can get more young people involved. And I thought it was a great situation between he and I and what he's done for me, because I owe him an enormous amount. But when James came into my office, it was the first time anybody had asked for me by name. It wasn't my dad or my grandfather. And he handed me his card, and I knew of him because, know thy enemy.
That can be a problem.
Yes, I say. But I didn't really know why he was there, and that we were busy, something else going on, and I said, I'll reach out. So I was curious, obviously, but the first time he came up and went to lunch, I was pretty guarded. I don't know how you felt, but I was very much, standoffish and trying to figure out what I thought about all of this. And then I asked you to come back up. You made 2 trips up. And the second time, I told him, I said, I'm not for sale. And he did say back to me very clearly, he said, I don't care if we ever talk about Blossman or Stringer in that sense. He said, I'm here because I care about my industry. I want more young people involved. You're a young person, and I'm trying to advocate for this, and I would like for you to get more involved. He encouraged me to go to the first, Brasstown was the first SEPA?
I think it was, yeah, the fall meeting.
I didn't know anybody but him and one sales guy who had been in my office a lot. And I took a chance. And after that, when I left that meeting, I didn't know any of this except the camaraderie, the friendships, everything like that. And I couldn't believe how I felt afterwards. And he encouraged all that, to join a committee, to be a part of things. And he said, that's what I want for our industry. And I don't even know, I don't even know how you knew who I was.
I did, as you asked around the industry, and so who is in Stringer now? Well, Smitty's daughter Reagan is really running Stringer now. So, I'm going to go meet Reagan. And your dad was sitting right there, and he was looking, and I'm like, he's kind of giving you the stink eye looking. I didn't even ask for him. I said, hey, how you doing? He spoke, and Reagan's like, yep, so she was not standoffish, but so I said, hey, let's do lunch sometimes. And that's what we did. And, it's important to me. I've been in the industry since 1996. So I remember when people would, as you kind of develop and have some leadership aspirations and you want to get more involved, David Reynolds, our CEO, has been one that's been a mentor for me a lot, and just asking you questions, more of a fatherly figure or like an uncle that you can talk to and talk about things like that. And I said, well, if I ever have the chance to mentor somebody, I'd love to do that, because you have to take it upon yourself to get involved. But if nobody ever lets you know what's going on, how do you know that? And the industry's been really good to me for 30 years, and I want it to continue. And Reagan's a prime example of third generation, or is it fourth generation?
Third generation.
Third generation ownership that, you see that passion, and you can tell when you're talking to her, there's way more going on behind the scenes. You can see everybody, she's thinking about things. It's not like, yeah, you're some salesman coming in here trying to do whatever. It wasn't like that. So when you see that, I think it's people that are older in the industry, we should want our legacy to be what we leave, who we touch. And that's what it is. It's not about, ruling the world or whatnot. It's about touching people and hopefully continuing the industry and getting them involved so that they can carry on for the fourth generation to do that. It's just something that's always been, kind of makes you want to get up in the morning and do that.
I ask a question, and I'm giving away one of my tricks here. When I'm trying to get to know somebody and what I think, or to ask a question, I ask, what do you want your legacy to be? And when I asked James that, his simple response was, I just want to be able to impact and change one person's life. And so now that I get to sit here and say this publicly out loud, I'm like, you did that for me. You changed my life. Is that good enough, or you want to do one more?
No. I had no intention of you just other than coming in and saying, if I can touch somebody's life in a positive way, that's what we should all be about. That's what Jesus did. You can touch one person's life in a positive way. That's what you should do.
And he has said if he didn't walk in there, somebody else would have. And that may or may not have been true, but it doesn't mean that the relationship would have been the same. When something good happens to me, or in the industry, or I have a question, or that's going on, and we both say, if you don't feel comfortable answering this, given our competitive nature, you don't have to. But he made a great comment to me when we were at dinner last time. He said, when you and I go out to dinner, it is Reagan and James. It's not Stringer and Blossman. This is us, talking together. And so the trust level there has been extensive, but as somebody who has seen and been through everything for me taking on that next steps, I had a situation that happened in December that we've never happened in the company. He was the first person I called on and saying, how do I do this in a compliance way and competitor way type deal. It was a tough situation we hadn't navigated before, and he walked me through that. And I think sometimes for us younger kids, right, we look at people in his position as a little bit untouchable. And you know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, you guys are a big deal to the industry. You've done a lot of things. And I think that if I could help encourage, if somebody sees, you know, somebody in like him in his position, just to ask a question or say, could we talk sometime? And I was lucky enough he walked into my office, and he hadn't. Again, nobody would know who I was. I wouldn't have been able to do the things I've done in the past 4 or 5 years. I mean, my entire life changed from him just showing up that day and then showing up again when I asked him to, after I realized I think I might trust him and want to get to know him better and see what this is about. And joined the government committee with that. I only joined the government committee the first year because I didn't think I was knowledgeable enough as an owner. And now 5 years in, I'm like neck deep in it. And then that means we're working for our state together. So he and I went in to meet with a senator earlier this year. And because we have this relationship, we're able to bounce off each other in these meetings and advocate for the industry together, not just our companies too. And I think that that's highly impactful.
Yeah, and it's not all about me. You know, that's the thing. I don't want anybody. I don't ever want recognition for anything. I just, you know, if I can touch somebody's life or help make the industry better, that's what it should be about. It's about the industry and helping continue. I mean, you know, we've been around for since 1926 or 28 as an industry, and we want to be here for another couple hundred years. And it's a great business. It's a great fuel. We have great people, and the people are what make up the industry. You know, in our company, we at Blossman, our purpose at Blossman is we exist for the benefit of our employees, and our continued success depends on rendering superior service to our customers. So I think Reagan is a customer. I owe it to her to impart what little bit of knowledge I have about the industry and encourage her to say, you know, you've got a lot to offer. You need to offer because, you know, these are very highly paid jobs in the industry, right? You know, you don't get paid for this. So you can tell when people really care about something, you want to get them involved in it so they can continue to further the industry. And I think that's what it's all about.
I completely agree. But it matters. I mean, it matters. And again, from my perspective, what he did didn't necessarily take a lot of effort, but it changed the course. You said it flipped a switch that I didn't know I had. And I can't imagine my life any different now than this. And I've often made the comment, even though we're not selling, if we were to sell tomorrow, I'm not leaving the industry. This is where I belong. This is what I'm meant to do. But I don't think I knew that 6 years ago, 5 years ago. And you definitely did. You flipped a switch and made, in my eyes, everything better, not only for me, but my future, my kids' future, and hopefully our state.
Yeah, and there's so many people. I think about, you know, when I first started getting out into the industry some, Jesse Johnson was one of our company officers, and he's like, you need to go to the Georgia Propane Gas Association meeting. He said, you need to call Johnny Patrick. Johnny Patrick will kind of give you the lay of the land and tell you who's who and what's what. And I did that. And Johnny helped me tremendously, kind of the same way. And, you know, he kind of give you the skinny on what's going on and what you should do, what he thinks you would be good at. So I think it's just, we should all, as human beings, pass that on to people. I think we should really do that.
And you can be competitors and still have a great relationship. Competition is healthy. We all get complacent, right? And sometimes you need that nudge. They took a big customer out this year, and I walked up to him and I said, I'm going to find a way to get 3 back, you know, of yours. And he laughed, and just like that. And I said, you know, that to me is so important to be able to do, because we all can have a seat at the table without making it, like you said, a dominating factor. And we can joke like that about those things with each other without it being, you know, so cutthroat all the time. Because again, him showing up and being there for me has only fueled what I feel like I can do. And then now I'm trying to do it to my friends in the industry or up and coming. So that trickle effect is huge. And I think people often forget that. And that's why I do think that this has been such a great story, and hoping that maybe somebody in his position will see somebody younger and say, I thought they've done great in this. Maybe I'll reach out to them, or somebody in my goes up to one of them and says, I maybe need a little bit of help. Because I'll say every single time that I've called you, Dan Richardson or John Jessup, and say, I don't know that I'm quite knowledgeable about this. Can you walk me through it? Every single time y'all answer the phone and let me know, because they want that for the industry too. And that's a big deal. That matters.